I went into teaching because I wanted to be a student for the rest of my life.
At Georgetown, that's where I fell in love with teaching.
It's the hardest job I think I've ever loved in my life.
I'm surrounded by these beautiful books. I'm the luckiest librarian in the world.
My biggest goal was to be the best teacher in the history of Georgetown University. I every day strive to do that.
My first real recollection of Georgetown comes from the faculty orientation retreat. The president of Georgetown, Father Leo O'Donovan, came to meet us all. I had just gotten a wonderful styrofoam cup full of not-so-wonderful coffee. I demonstrated my combination of nervousness and Italian heritage and gestured with my cup of coffee and threw it right down the front of Leo O'Donovan. And I go to myself in my mind, wow, this is how to start a career at a new university.
I was working at the Folger Shakespeare Library, and one day I came to the library and I found that a book I was working on was missing from my shelf. And I thought, why would somebody else be interested in this book? It's an obscure 17th century book on Jewish law, and I found out that it had been taken by a Georgetown professor. And at the time I had applied for a job at Georgetown, and I was thrilled to learn that there was already a professor at Georgetown who was interested in the same kind of material that I was also researching.
I actually came as a student. I just enjoyed being at Georgetown so much that I just never left.
I remember one of the best students I had in that first class, and he just offered the idea that something makes me think you'll be here a long time. I remember looking at him and thinking to myself, well, I'm not sure what that is, but maybe that's a good sign.
One thing I learned about teaching, you have to have a hook.
I use a lot of humor in my classes.
And as we were going through the tunnel, I noticed a sign that said no hazmats. My reaction was to think, why are they discriminating against hazmat people? What are they doing here? I mean,
And my former student used to say he knew exactly when the jokes were coming.
I was going through a very complex medical concept with the students. And then the student who had been struggling the most hit the highest level of thinking. And when they got it, I threw the papers up in the air, they went everywhere, and I yelled, "That's it! That's it!" And that student was just beaming.
I tell students the quickest way to an A in my course is to teach me something I'd never thought of before. And it happens more often than you would think.
Shela, shela, sa.
Students really are a part of my research because they bring the data, they bring the language, they bring the background. I have an ongoing collaboration with a student of mine from Botswana, former student now colleague really. The language they speak there is Setswana.
Yeah, you can really hear the difference, can't you?
She eventually wrote her dissertation on Setswana, brought back some great data, and we're still working through the data that we have.
See if we have some statistical validity on those patterns.
And Georgetown's really allowed me to continue to learn from my students, really every week.
The Georgetown classroom is a small part of my overall classroom. I've taken hundreds of students abroad to do research with me and to teach them around the world. Some places were very local. The largest areas are those areas through the Great Plains. We sit next to one of the most interesting geological transitions right here on the hilltop. Does everybody see that? Been able to take people to Central America, to the tropics, and to study wetlands and environmental change over long periods of time.
When I first started to be a librarian, that was the late 80s, I went to a symposium at the Library of Congress about the internet and the future of libraries. And they said, well, there will be no more reference librarians after the year 2000. And I was, of course, very sad because I loved being a reference librarian. And I thought, well, I'll just enjoy it while it lasts, you know. But here at the Bioethics Library, it's reference squared.
It has brain mapping, yeah.
Right.
But then it also has morals in it.
The Georgetown students, sometimes they're overwhelmed with how much is out there. And so they come to me so that I can help them limit it, so I can help them filter it. It's always so much fun to work with them.
So how difficult was it? All of the registrars, we laugh about the fact that the thing that you never think about, it's like, oh, well, when I grow up, I want to be a registrar. And obviously I'll be doing proofs with you and so forth. But there's never a dull moment. There's always a question that comes up that we've never heard before.
I just wanted to survive, not get kicked out after 5 or 6 years. So I was successful in not getting kicked out, and then over time I came to see, as the university changed, I came to care more about how it would sort of grow.
While I've been here, the history department broadened from Europe to the world. And I'd like to think that my role as numerous program directors and then as chair gave me a creative role in helping to do that.
We just have the one Pizzani speaker.
I think about my students. A lot of the students have gone into academia, into language teaching, are running programs, are making life better for people in lots of different ways.
Idea which is ridiculous.
This is a lasting legacy. You're responsible in some sense for shaping the career of your students, and then your students become your colleagues. And so it's a lifelong process.
Okay. So, but what are some of the potential concerns that we can monitor for that exogenous effort you're being given? It's been a wonderful, wonderful journey of life to nurture and see these wonderful students go on and become practicing, highly competent, highly compassionate physicians. It seems just like yesterday that I arrived here at Georgetown. I have no idea where 20 years has actually gone.
I blinked and it seems like it was just yesterday.
Having been here 20 years, I can remember every student I taught. I can remember every class I taught.
I certainly have projects that I'm planning that would keep me busy for another 20 years. Well, I don't have any plans to go anywhere.
I've done a career of 3 major stops and a lot of short stops. But this has been the best stop.
No, it hasn't felt like 20 years at all, but I feel so lucky to have been here.